and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing some Abzan, and I have made some changes based on the video from yesterday. If you haven't seen it, you can definitely go check that out. We saw a Orzhov list win a super qualifier, Orzhov being white-black if you're not sure what that is, but it won a super qualifier, which was a major MTGO tournament, higher than challenges that we've covered on this channel. But I wanted to take it and splash it in with green and kind of what the best things green offer us in the terms of, like, Alorian yesterday was a little disappointing at best of one, but we can replace that with a Terra Sunder, which I find a much better card in general. 2 mana instant speed, 4 mana exile, like anything other than a land. So it ends up being better in the late game than Lorian could be. But also, the last time I played the Abzan list, I had no temporary lockdowns in the main board. It always feels a little bit weird because I play Deep-Cavern Bat, Innkeeper's Talent, and Mosswoods. However, the way my game plan is, like my personal game plan, not necessarily how the game plans go out, but if there's ever a situation that I need to temporarily lock down the board, I have probably not played any of these effects anyway. If I'm against mono red, more often than not, the situation is going to be temporary lockdown is going to save me more than the Mosswood Dreadknight is, or more than Deep-Cavern Bat is, right? So I know temporary lockdown in this situation kind of looks like a Nombo, like a big Punisher, but realistically, oftentimes, it's the same thing in Domain when they play a temporary lockdown and absorb their up to Beanstalks. It kind of has to be played in the best of one format. It punishes lizards, it punishes mono red, and it punishes bunnies. And if you look at the top meta decks, it's those three, all aggro. So we kind of have to play temporary lockdown if we're going to be playing white and justify it in this deck. Other than that, we're just a mid-range game plan that kind of fits in between those 4, 5, and 6 mana turns that we want to be prioritizing our game plan, with Zorline kind of being one of our better cards, being able to bring back any of the creatures or permanents in our deck, including Innkeeper's Talent, which we are splashing with the Vraska as a one-of. We're using these more for value and just overall creature growth when it comes to Innkeeper's Talents, and maybe a one-shot potential later in the game if we have an Innkeeper's Talent kind of in there and acting up. Our opponent hasn't been able to remove it, then we maybe rip a Vraska, because the other thing with this is it also makes our Liliana's ult immediately, so it's not necessarily just a Vraska win con. But outside of that, I mean, we're just kind of playing the best cards in both colors, or all 3 colors, I guess I would say, because a lot of our other colors are obviously gold cards. But we also play one Analyze the Pollen. This is probably a card, if you're looking at this list, you're not entirely sure what it might be doing. But it has evidence 8. We can search our library for a basic land card. Ta-da. Other than that, if we collect that evidence, instead we can look for a creature card as well. Not as well, I guess it's one or the other, but that helps us find some of these one-ofs up here. Or a card that's just important, like a Zorline or a Glissa, if we need to win the combat chain. Or if we know they have a Sunfall, we can go get a Deep-Cavern Bat and make sure we take that out of their hand if we already have an established board. So outside of that, we're going to go ahead and hop in the games. If y'all enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Had a lot of fun with this deck today. Worked out really well. And I think it kind of came together the way I wanted it to. So let's go dive in and see how well it does perform. We go first. This is our hand. Pretty good hand to keep. We have a 2-drop into 2 3-drops. So definitely for it. Plus the turn 1 land tap doesn't really punish us at all. Let's see it. It's the Batman. Blue-black, okay. Now here, I think I'm more inclined to just Mosswood. If they remove it, then I can just cycle it next turn or whatever. If they don't remove it, I can go to combat and play the Preacher. See? Rats? Okay. Here. I'll see if they want to trade. This has trample, so I don't lose any value, really. Okay, I get that off the board. Sure, they can bring it back, but I'm pretty sure this has a hefty requirement, right? When you attack with 1 or more rats or 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you may pay 3. Yeah, like that's not a cheap deal. Cycle. We get a land. We'll play this. Go ahead and deck then at this point. We have double white. We have double black. We need double green, but we kind of have it too. But it does enter tapped. Now I'll go ahead and play this Deep-Cavern Bat. Take a look at their hand. This is when it enters, each opponent discards a card. This shuts creatures off. The discard one doesn't affect me. This is probably the only one that's kind of annoying. This also punishes them in a way. guess it's just the king. Makes our turns like really weird. It just says when it attacks with one target artifact creature, your opponent controls lose all abilities until your next turn. Okay. They find land and I find cut down, so it's all pretty good. Need to play another white source here. Arena, please. So help me, dude. I understand there's a damage coming, but I would much rather take 1 damage and bring back a full-fledged creature than not. These do have vigilance and they do get to shut things off, but now if they attack, it's a little bit weird. With power 2 or greater, so like preachers still can block them. It'll lose death touch, which is interesting. Sure. Let's give them their thing back. I don't know. Yes, power 2 or greater. I don't know why I pretend like I didn't know what that was. Discard the swamp. Surveil land much better here. Go back to being normal. I'll play a surveil land. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, because this won't go back to normal. I could put it in the bin, but if they draw removal for Zoraline, I'm going to be really upset. So I guess I just keep it on top. And I play here. Now I have a good block for this 6-1. Then I guess this can attack. There's no reachers. Remember, I don't gain anything off Zoraline because there's nothing to be gained. They could play counter spells, which would be kind of annoying if they draw. Could also play this Gix here. Go straight to combat. Get rid of this. This can make them all turn into 2/2, so he can wipe the entire board with this Gix, I guess. That's interesting. Which is kind of nice while we have this temporary lockdown. No blocks. Now just the Dreadknight will stick. Everything else will be gone. You get that back, which is fine. Now this Dreadknight's kind of weird because it's like probably the only card I didn't really want back. Because again, it's 2 mana. Wow. Really blocked there, huh? Let's surveil first. Cut down on this board's interesting. It doesn't answer that, and these will both be gone. So I guess it's just gone there. This is really good to play on the following turn here. Oh, well, no, because this shuts it off. Makes Glissa lose all of her abilities, so not worth it. So we lock down the board, and now they're probably going to go for this. Look, top 5, put all rats in their hand. Doing quite a bit. I don't know how many they'll hit here. Ooh, good one. This is if a creature you control would die, exile at the beginning of each instance, that make for each one that went in the graveyard that turn. Interesting. That just has toxic, so I guess we just flood the board. Thought this was the one that discards, but it's not. It's the one that makes the board super wide. But a creature must die. Now that could be theirs, but if yeah, okay. We'll see what they do. They play Vryn. That makes sense. Now also has toxic. Has what? Ward 2? Can get rid of it. That would be pretty cool. And I have lower life total, so Preacher will actually do the cool thing. Yeah, let's see what happens if I attack them here. And by cool thing, make a 1/1 so it can protect Vraska when I minus here. We want to pay the Phyrexian cost because we have to pay the ward cost. Yes. Ward 2, auto pay that. Now this is a random thing. It's just an artifact, treasure. It does give them an extra mana to operate. So now they can play this and go for the throat something. And that doesn't go to exile because Bren wasn't in play. Play another Ratman. Again, they've hit a lot so far. And they hit 3 more. 2 of them the same thing, but also legendary. They can go for the Lord Skitter, which makes sense. The only problem is, again, we do have a good board. Season's really good. I can give something double indestructible, which would be kind of funny. I can just exile this, or I can exile this, which they have another one to play, but then they're kind of forced to play it. They can gather more information too while I'm at it, I guess. Well, not much information to be gathered off that, I suppose. Do I want to exile both of these and just light them up? I think that, I mean, that gives them 2 more cards, though. And they'd missed a land. They have a lot of creatures, but those creatures are awkward. Guess because I can just block with a 1/1 on that thing, I just, like, exile, return. Exile this and just return this. Then I pay this cost. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I wonder if they drew, like, another Vren or something. This card, honestly, I love this card. I love the art and the aesthetic of it. And I love how it works. It's just sometimes a little too slow. Like, this is the same kind of mana cost as a Sheoldred, but it requires more than them just drawing a card. So, it's like, that's what it has to compete with in that spot. So, it's a little hard for me to always play it. But okay, opponent goes first. We potentially have lockdown. Our hand's about as expensive as it can be. We just have to kind of hope to draw lands here. There goes a Ruckus. We do draw 1. Let's surveil. We draw in another land. I will take it. Just because it makes sense to. Will we Slick Shot here? Play a Swiss Spear. Now, only real fear if there's like a way to protect it here. Or they just cash in. Hopefully they do anything other than a Monstrous Rage. Because Monstrous Rage makes it too large. Of course. Okay, I guess I start the game at 13 on turn 2. I really had a lot of decisions, Arena. Cool. Like, I'm really glad I made game action so far. Turn 2, my dad. Your turn 3, my turn 2. You got it? I mean, we're throwing a block. We're using Mosswood as a 2 life here. There's no way. I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I can't block this to Ruckus. Never mind. I'm an idiot. This can't even be used. They messed up the way their mana tapped. They can't even use that. Oh, and it doesn't matter, does it? Let's just hope. They have a shock for the Mosswood. They win. Or, yeah, no. Maybe. I don't know. They probably win regardless. Doesn't really matter. Uh-huh. Give me the last spell, dude. Well, we were given a chance. Just like that. We made it to turn 4 somehow. I thought we were just super dead. I probably should have been this land, to be honest with you. I don't know why, but I forgot the Ruckus gave, like, Menace. It's been so few times that a Ruckus has made a lot of this, like, a lot of decisions. We go for Aclazotz here over Sheoldred. And the reason why we do that is because this has flying and Sheoldred doesn't. We could just die to that. Combat. Attack. Now they have to discard a Monstrous Rage. Are we going to win this game? Like, we shouldn't. Like, we just shouldn't. Alright, well, I mean, good game, dude. That, regardless, I don't ever want to win a game like that. Where the mono red deck on 20 some lands is just gonna flood out. Like, that sucks. I know, like, I was playing, but I mean, realistically, on my turn 1, I play a tap lane and I end at 13. Like, I go into my turn at 13. Absurd. Like, it's just crazy. And their hand just happened to slow down. They just didn't quite have what they needed. Also, I guess if I would have played it differently, I probably am supposed to just play Fabled Passage and go get the planes regardless, because I'm an idiot and forgot I can't block because of this. So definitely there, don't do what I did. Just go get the planes so you can temporarily lock down the board there. But weirdly enough, it worked out, because then we got the other creature off the board as well, and they had a monster trade, so we would have been in danger. We go first. I mean, with how aggro the meta is, definitely latching onto this hand. Honestly, looking for kind of anything other than lands, and Deep-Cavern Bat fits that description pretty easily. Consider my entire hand's playable, and I can play this on turn 4. So this is the weird thing. The only card that sucks for us is this one. Really. I'm going to take that. Like, everything else is duplicates. The Jasper is like the most annoying card by far. Realistically, we'll probably see, yeah, the Mentor come down, and this is where we get to kind of dominate the game. So we can do this and minus and take out their one creature. Now, they explode onto the board this turn if it becomes like play the one drop that has landfall. They don't seem to have it there. But now our pluses become very good. We get to go for the throw at that. Iron Claw. Iron Claw is one of those cards. Vraska is a one of in our list, so we're going to have to lose it here. I don't think I can get rid of literally anything else in my hand. Now it's definitely just... Where's this shoot? When you attack one more, deal 1 damage to target opponent. Okay. We definitely just see what happens here before we fire off this go for the throw. Because if I can maybe save Lily, I might. Actually, probably never saving Lily no matter how this turn works out. Because the problem is this will deal the damage, and then once like combat kind of goes through, like I either have to give up this resource or let them put a 1/1 counter on that. They go straight to combat. What is this worded? The opponent lost life this turn. Alright, let's make them make a choice. So if I get rid of that, they don't get free damage on me, so they have to prioritize Liliana. If they prioritize Liliana, they get no value. So they go face, and I get to keep Liliana, which is kind of where I went with that. So they get another Gecko. Oh, worst case scenario. Probably, but I mean, I do get to crush their hand. So hopefully our draw here is like a land or something I'm not afraid to get rid of. Did you find a lightning strike? They did. My decision didn't matter at all. That kind of sucks, honestly, but it just is what it is. But now I want a Deep-Cavern Bat. Hope this last card's a spell. They didn't play a land for turn, so most likely it is. It is a go for the throat. Huge. And now I'm definitely on the attack train here. It's weird because it's not like equal, but when I play a Zoraline next turn, it definitely will be. Only thing I'm afraid of is a Jasper. Double attack here means they're protecting this, and their card in hand might suck. So let's get rid of that guy and just take the 4. No reason to let them remove my Deep-Cavern Bat and my other bat, giving them back their Jasper. But they find one anyway, which is cool. I find the best top deck for the situation. Get rid of that. We double attack. Just cannot let them get that kind of value. But this Deep-Cavern Bat is very vulnerable. Ooh, nice hit. Honestly, one of their better draws. Almost better than removal, really. Because now they get to attack me pretty easily here. Now we just pass. No attacks. Not trying to give them anything back. Eventually they'll hit a land, right? Smile. Yeah, I can bring that one up. Definitely a problem. They might have a go for the throat. They go on all out attack. Let's see. Block here, of course. You might have lightning strike, but it is what it is. You might do bats around. Yeah. Kind of assume so, but I'll take the trade-off. Wow. Yeah. Going empty-handed. They've shown that they're a Deep-Cavern Bat deck as well, so might as well do it. They can also activate Flame Gecko, which is the other reason why I kind of prioritize getting rid of them, because if it gets down to the point that I can get rid of them all, then great. They're just looking for more pressure or finding lands in that spot. You get through the land pocket and attack with that bat. A little like an I don't know situation, because I feel like holding this back is better for them than attacking, because now I'm like outgaining this with my 2 Deep-Cavern Bats, and what a draw. Watch me rip the untap land here. Sure. Alright, well, maybe not untapped, but... We'll swing next turn because of our land. Okay. Play both these. Can't pay that back, and I think with that said, this game is now over. Even if a Jasper comes in, I don't think there's a whole lot that they can do. Because an attack here with Zorline, too good. And if they play something down, I can attack and then they'll get that card. So like if they did play a Jasper here, right? Or like another 3-drop like a Flame Color or something. Now I can just attack out with like this in the air. This is forced to block here. Zorline will pay, bringing back like Liliana. We can just plus on their hand for whatever bat they kill. Or we can minus after combat, killing their final bat regardless. And then we get all of our cards back and their board's clear and we're left with the board after. C#, a programming software. Very cool. We obviously, I think, keep this. Feels pretty easy to read the room. So this is one of the very rare spots that I don't think I play this first. I actually think I play the courtyard holding up the cut down and then surveilling next time because I have double cut down. This is strictly because that stupid color right there is so popular. Alright, we find the other land. We're perfectly fine latching onto that. Liliana can come down next turn. If I don't get to remove anything here. Oh, it's Boros. Okay. So now we have options. I can play a Preacher. Preacher really good into this. It's like Lightning Helix doesn't remove it. And I don't really want Lily to start plussing right this moment. Alright, so this is a Torch. And another thing that is pretty good. This is like one of the things to kind of like... I don't want to say level up your game, right? Because I'm not a pro player. So take it with that what you will. But I do think it is a thing that in best of one, or at least on this client specifically, that you need to pay attention to whenever you're playing. Like if my Boros Urbrass Forge deck is leaving 1 red mana open and it's stuck. Now, one thing we do have to worry about here is Sunfall. I'm going to opt for Lily now because I know I have a Zorline in hand, so I'm honestly perfectly content with either getting rid of a cut down or even a Mosswood, but I can try to leave Lily next turn. Alright, there's a Get Lost. Okay, so what do I want to get rid of? Maybe it's just... It's probably just cut down. We'll just hold one. And now next turn I play this cave and I bring back this Liliana. So I will move to combat if I can. Alright, interesting. Let us try to do... Actually, if I bring this back, I could pay the 1 to bring back Liliana. And or pay the 2, bring back Liliana, then we'll be equal again. Yeah, I like that. Let's go for this. Now there is a cool trick with Zorline if your opponent's impatient with it. I guess I had to take the life anyway. No
more distractions.
Let us plus here. We want to plus before going to combat. We don't want this to get helixed.
I'm tired of your
I will let... Guess I'll let the cut down go. And they haven't done anything yet. Move to combat. Double attack. But now this will only make a 1/1. I kind of messed it up somewhere along the way. Oh, this is pay 2 life, not 1. That's why I messed it up. Wow, they do that. So they're looking to draw. I might get Sunfalled here, which will suck. Oh, a tap land. Definitely no more committing from us, by the way. Unless we find like a Deep-Cavern Bat. Temporary lockdown, kind of bad in this match. Now, they could sack this to draw a card. I could minus on them. Let's go this route, though. Let's plus here. Make our board big instead of the other way. Liliana on top, fantastic. And now if they have a way to get rid of Lily, it's like whatever. Could have spread that out too, so that's not as lightning helixable. Move to combat. We'll be putting this Lily back in our hand. I have nothing to pay in here, right? Yeah, correct. A decline. Could have plus and put the Mosswood in the yard and then brought it back, but I don't want it to get exiled. I'm gonna sack it to draw. Still taking a ton of damage here. I'm putting them on Sunfall, like 100% on Sunfall. So we're in an interesting spot. Let's see what we draw off this before I make any commitment. Plus, I think land can go here.
Won't be outsmarting me.
Get rid of the land as well. Let's see it. Sunfall me. That's what I believe you have. Could be Brotherhood in too. It does kill most. Temporary lockdown is not great. Caretaker's talent, sure. Do I have lethal here? I have 5, 6, 7, and if they draw like anything outside of that, plus I have make them discard their final card. Which is a torch. And I'll draw a card, so I might as well gain this life. Attack. Nothing to be gained here, and that should get it done. So we had 5 plus Sheoldred is going to be 2, setting them down that low life total, and just like that, we smooth right in Diamond 2. We're getting pretty close to the end of the season. Like close, it's like halfway. We have like 12 days, but it feels close, you know. All right, team. Well, here we are, and I don't know if the games get much kind of better than what we were prioritizing facing with what we saw there today. We got the aggro match, which I was a little whiny baby for at the beginning, but I mean, Mono Red this season has just been quite absurd. So every time they have the nuts early, it's just obviously frustrating, but I need to just be better than being a whiner. But we played Abzan. We took pretty much what we learned yesterday from the Orzhov pile. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. It won a super qualifier. I uploaded that yesterday. But here we are playing Abzan and putting in some of the good green cards that we like. So a card that I was upset with in Orzhov yesterday was Lorien, the creature that enters and blows up an artifact or enchantment. But with adding green, I can then play Terra Sunder, which I feel is much better because we obviously can play it for 4 mana, and then that allows us to exile anything, or we can do it for 2 mana at instant speed and exile something right away that's crucial to our opponent's game plan. Or we can kind of bait them, and like if we're in the mirror or something with like an Innkeeper talent. I guess it wouldn't be the mirror for this deck. Innkeeper talent's more of a value card here. But with Innkeeper's talent, like if our opponent's playing that combo deck, we wait till they pump it all the way up and then we Terra Sunder it, whatnot. I like playing 2 Terra Sunders, but I didn't know quite what else to play, because I really think right now you have to be on lockdowns if you're playing white. It's just the meta's so fast, and we can see in the Mono Red matchup where I played lockdown, it kind of saved us, even though I kind of trolled that match a little bit, so we should have been way better off. But regardless, we saw that temporary lockdown was super strong. It got them out of the game, and then we obviously played our top end there. The only thing I will say about this deck that has me a little worried as a constructed player, like whenever I play in paper, obviously best one's a lot different. But in paper, I'm not normally a one-of type person. I think like if a card's good enough, a lot of times like you want to be playing more unless you have ways to tutor it out. For example, Analyze the Pollen is technically another copy of these 3 cards if you think about it. Although if they're already gone, it's not another copy, but we can go get it out of our graveyard if we meet the requirement for the evidence. So search your library for a basic land card. If evidence was collected, instead search for a creature or land card. So we can kind of find one of these if we need it. The thing about these, though, is they're really good as 1-ofs, or Sheoldred a lot of times is a 2-of, or Bisa can be a 2-of. Bisa's a little bit worse than these two, like overall as kind of a closer. But Sheoldred can end games on her own, and then Aclazotz can also end games on his own. And when you have one of these around, like Aclazotz is a great example of a great 1-of, because he goes into being a land, and he comes back, a land comes back, land comes back. But Sheoldred, like, once they kill our Sheoldred, we don't really have a way to bring that back outside of a virtue. So it's a little bit weird on that. But playing 3 colors, we're a little thin across the board on what we can play. We're like the memes of kind of like your F&M player. I don't have 4 of like anything in here besides Mosswood, because it's clearly the best like dewdrop card that we got kind of going for us. But with this being legendary, we're kind of like a little hesitant on it. This being legendary and kind of an awkward card, it's like really good in some matchups, really bad in others. So we're sitting on this kind of weird 2-of situation. But Preacher, oftentimes a 4-of, but I wanted to play kind of some higher end cards. But this, at the end of the day, is also a best of 1 experience kind of situation. Realistically, a lot of times in best of 3, we're going to see like these in the sideboard most likely, or maybe like maybe not, I don't know, like Terra Sunder for sure is probably in the sideboard. So now we have 4 Preachers in the main. But with best of 1 being the way it is, and you kind of sometimes need a silver bullet to answer some things, this is what this deck comes out to being. So if you like kind of both and you want to see a merged pile that did at least well for me today, this is what I settled on. I know Deep-Cavern Bat is a 3-of, it's a little weird. Mosswood is 4, is kind of where I settled. But finally, the last thing I have is I do have potentially the Innkeeper talent 1-punch KO. You could also argue just to cut this in general. I just like this card because I love the fact that it puts ward on everything. And in those matchups where you kind of are against like Domain, for example, or Control or whatever, and they kind of let one of these stick around, you just make things like Deep-Cavern Bat a lot more awkward to remove, Mosswood a lot more awkward to remove. Anything like Liliana's aren't super easy, because against Control, a lot of times you want to make them overpay for their spells. That's why like Dahlia was so good in previous seasons for the aggro humans deck. Dahlia oftentimes making it where they can't win. But other than that, this is where I settled up, and I hope you all enjoyed. That said, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.